Why, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I'm your host and guide, Zollin Ironshield, and today, my friends, we are going to talk about what are the settings I use. This is a guide video, a Lotro guide for you today, my friends, and I've had a lot of questions on the visuals of my game and how it looks. And people are like, do you use mods? Do you do this? Do you do that? How do you record in what good quality and all this stuff? So we're gonna go through it a little step by step today. I will do a couple timestamps down there. Timestamps take a lot of work, so don't forget to like and subscribe if that does help you out. So let's start with the UI settings, okay? And a couple things that I've had people saying. For example, if you see my quality of my thing down here, a lot of people are like, do you use a mod to make that look so good? And what are you recording in? And what is the... Some people say you can't play this game in 2K without mods. That is untrue, okay? So, and I want to talk about a few things don't freak out in the comments yet, let me explain. And I understand why some people think that, and there are some real things with the system to that. But I am playing this game right now with no mods, recording this in 2K with the UI looking like this, okay? So this is in 2K right now. This is what it looks like. So we have to establish a few things real fast. So, let's bring up graphics, okay? So again, you can tell my UI this thing is a little small, right, on the screen, because again, I'm playing this in 2K. So if you go to graphics off the top, right, we're in game right now. So if you go to graphics off the top, I have custom on, it says, you can click optimized settings. I wouldn't do that. If you have a decent system, you're gonna be able to play this and pretty much max everything. Now, there are some exceptions that I have to point out, you guys. It's some settings right here, like this ×8. This one makes your computer work a lot harder. So you might only want to do ×2 or ×4, but with the aliasing. But besides that, let's talk about one or two things. Graphic cards, okay? So the nice thing about the Lord of the Rings Online is this game will be able to run at pretty decent graphics now with most systems, okay? That's one bonus. It's an older game. That's how it goes, right? But a lot of people are like, why does your game look so much better than mine, even though they're probably running at ultra graphics? So let's go to advanced graphics settings. I have everything on max, okay? Now, something I've noticed as a player for a long time, and I'm gonna get to the UI stuff, guys, I promise. I'll have a timestamp you can hop if you want. But this is important, this is really important. The graphics card does matter. It does. This game, you could have a graphics card that is half the power of the one I'm using right now, and you could run this thing on Ultra and it'll look great. It'll look fantastic. But you will notice a difference. This is experience of mine. You will notice a difference between an older graphics card and a newer one on Ultra. The same settings, okay? You will see a difference, all right? I know you're like, how does that even work? I think it's because it's an older game, right? It has the potential to give you better visuals if you have a better system, even if you have them all in the ultra settings, okay? And the reason I know this is because I had a decent graphics card before on my previous system, but when I upgraded to my new system, it looked better, and I was like, how is that possible? Same monitor, you know, all the same settings, because the graphics card is better. It's just how it goes, right? So that could be one thing. It could be the system you're using, right? And I'm not saying that people's systems are bad, but if you see a difference on that, that could be one thing, right? Now, the second thing that's really important is a lot of people are saying, well, it gets blurry when I blow it up to 2K, so the system must not be able to play 2K. All right, I want to show you something real quick right here. See this right here? So I'm in windowed mode, right? I could go to full screen if I want. Full screen might slightly give you better graphics, by the way, guys, but in this game, I don't find a huge difference, and windowed works better for me because then I can edit and move while I'm doing videos for you guys, because I can move my mouse off the one screen I use. But as you can see, full screen resolution, windowed screen resolution, don't worry about that right now. It's using my aspect that I have, my ratio I have right now, which is, it uses the full screen for the windowed. So it's at 2556 by 1440. So guys, 2K, 1440p. So yes, the built-in system can indeed play this game at 2K. Now, I would like to say too, my screen I'm using is a MSI 32-inch curved screen 2K. I found when I first bought this screen, I bought it with a 1080 and it looked terrible, okay? So this is important. You'll get to my point real quick. When the screen does matter for your eyes, okay? It does matter, the pixels. So the bigger your screen is, If you have a screen that's only a 17-inch screen, you're fine probably with 1080. It'll look great, 1080 HD. But if you have a screen that you're pushing 20, 25, 32-inch, like my curved screen here, you have to get the monitor itself in 2K, guys. It'll look blurry, okay? Some games will scale it to try to make a screen that's 1080 look better in 2K if it's a big screen and it has the option to do that. But if it's not a 2K screen itself with pixels, an older game like this isn't gonna look as good. That's important to remember. So if you're someone who's saying, I can't play it, it looks too blurry when I go 2K, it could be your screen. But I'm not saying that's the only option. So now let's go into UI and settings, okay? That might not be the reason, but I'm just throwing that out there, okay? So the second thing is, so make sure your screen has the capability to 2K, then go into 2K with the settings here, and it should look good. Now there's another thing you can do depending on the graphics card you have, and I'm not gonna do a whole tech video, but you can go into your graphics card settings and crisp things up and do different settings in the graphics card. For example, I use a NVIDIA graphics card, so I can go into the NVIDIA engine and actually make it, do it for quality instead of performance, make sure quality is better, which does help with the shadings of graphics in this game, okay? And stuff. I noticed it did make it look better. I also did a little color adjustment, some real basic things off the cuff. So now that I've gone through that whole thing of your graphics card, the better it is, will make your system better, right, run better. And I did notice when I got an upgraded CPU, things worked better too. They are doing graphics updates. Some people were saying they're never going to. No, they are planning on it, and they've already done some, which I have seen the difference. So I already know they happened. So people say they aren't happening. Some have already happened, okay? So if you look at this game from 10 years ago and today, it looks so much better today, even on super low graphics if I pop them all the way to the bottom, all right? So again, let's show you, okay? Very low graphics. All right, see, it does not look as good, even with my 2K recording. Now again, I'll tell you what I recorded with my OBS, so you can know when I'm recording it. But, quality. But as you can see, it does not look as good as it did, okay? The lighting is okay, it's still there, but the wall textures are all right. But again, this still doesn't look bad, but it looks pretty bad compared to today, right? But then if I take these same settings and I just pump it all the way back up to ultra settings, look at how much better it looks. The textures look better, the lighting looks better, everything looks better, right? Much nicer, even the reflection, right? A little bit. So, now you're asking me, well, what settings and UIs do you use, Zollin? And if I ever use any mods in the future that I like, I will let you know. But here's the things. Ready? I'm gonna do timestamp. This is where we start with the UI. Okay, so graphics settings. We're gonna run through them real fast, the ones I use. You can click optimize. I just jump it to ultra high. If you can use DirectX, use DirectX. It makes the water look fantastic. Player versus multiplayer performance override. Automatically sets various performance-related options to low settings while in PvP area. If your system has troubles with a lot of crazy action going on in MMOs, you might want to leave this on. I'm gonna turn it off because my system should be able to do whatever. I have a super system now. Windowed, I like to run into window mode because if you have multiple screens, most of you probably have multiple screens. If you don't, I'm not insulting you. I understand screens cost money. But it is nice to leave it in windowed even for that, because you can alt-tab easier if you leave it in windowed even on one screen. So that's your option there. It will use the top one. It will use the full screen resolution for windowed, so you guys know. So that's why this one doesn't even matter, this grayed out, even though they're both grayed out. It's just using my Windows settings. Aspect ratio, I use 16 by 9. Excuse me, I flipped that. It is the best one to use. For my system. Again, if you have a weird thing happening where something's wrong with the dimensions on your monitor, it could have something to do with the aspect ratio. So check it out. Try it out. Again, I'll show you an example. See, if your dwarf is even shorter than he should be, it could be your aspect ratio is messed up. All right, so there's, sorry, it's funny. And then see, 9 by 10, something looks a little weird too. It looks a little stretched long, right? So again, 16 by 9, that is the right. It looks clear. It looks right for me. Again, the A-listing, this enables your, it says it right there. If you're confused, you can hover the word, you guys, on the UI and it'll explain it. See the little thing that pops up there? Again, I know it's real small for you guys. And again, that is a hard thing when you're doing settings because you can't really blow the settings up when you're using 2K. Again, you could go to a different one, but you can't always blow it up. All right, I'm gonna show you something too. I'm gonna go to full screen right now. All right, so I'm in full screen settings now. 14. What if I go to 1080? So you guys are probably curious. Okay, so I'm gonna do, here we go, by 1080. All right, so as you can see, it shrunk my thing because I am recording in 2K. But again, if you notice, it looks kind of actually blurry to me, right? It looks kind of messed up to me. So again, it looks okay over here, but for me, looking at it with my eyes, everything looks kind of messed up. It messed up all my things, right? Because I had them all set up. So it actually looks blurrier than my 2K right now, which goes to show, which is proof for me that this the UI and graphics settings can actually play in 2K really well on my monitor. Okay, so again, I'm gonna pop it back to. Technically it has dimensions all the way up to like 4K dimensions, but I'm gonna go back to what my screen is, right? Which already looks better, but again, I like windowed, so I'm gonna stay in windowed, okay? So back to all my settings there, boom, boom, bang, we're good. And so one thing now, the next thing is when you're in windowed, usually you can't adjust your brightness, your contrast, or your gamma. It is hooked onto what your monitor is if you're in windowed, where I could change that if I'm in full screen, okay? So this is important for you guys to know, okay? So I could change the contrast if I wanted to, right? Or the brightness and make it miserably, horribly yucky, right? But I'm not gonna do that because, yeah. I'm gonna go back to windowed. It'll automatically adjust things. Oh, actually, interesting. Oh, that's a good thing to know. Apparently, if you adjust it and then switch it, it'll hold on to whatever you had. Oh, interesting. Very interesting indeed. That's something I just learned for you guys. Right there. I just normally like windowed. I like them all at one, the gamma, all of them. They seem to work good for my screen because I adjust my screen's brightness. I don't want to adjust the games, right? And then the ambient light is one you can adjust during whatever. If you notice, see how the lighting gets darker in the back? I like the ambient light all the way up, especially when you're in Moria, guys. That's a good setting to have. So anyway, now that we've all the basic graphics settings out of the way, let's jump to advanced graphics. This, again, you can hover the things, so I'm not gonna go too crazy. You can see what I use, because this video is like what I use for UI and graphics. But I would just pop these boys up to ultra high, right? If you can. Object distances, ultra high if you can. Most systems are gonna be able to do high and ultra high for this game. Again, it will look better if you have a better system, even if you have everything maxed. So that's something very interesting. You need to make sure the aspect ratio, the aspect ratio and the actual resolution are what your monitor can do. You need to make sure your graphics card settings are good, right? And then you can pop these guys all the way up. And then again, very high, very high. Just go to the bottom one is always gonna be the highest. And then if you're confused on like this distance, what is this? Frill distance. The percentage of frills that are loaded. Use a lower setting for better performance, but we want better visuals because my system doesn't care. So I just put it all the way at the top. Distance, again, not all these are gonna say ultra, some are gonna say high. They're only different. There's not as many settings, right? In that particular one. So anyway, I do them all high. The highest one, texture filtering. I do the one that says for best performance, use that. Oh wait, what is this? I think I have a messed up one here. Here we go. Will yield the highest performance quality, but may greatly decrease performance. Oh, okay. Hold on, I read it backwards. I have the right one. Oh, yes, I'm right. I have the right one. So quality, performance is this one, quality is that one. So I went quality. I had it right. All right, moving on. I just read it backwards. Texture filters are great. I leave all of these on. Again, you can hover these. It'll explain to you. And the ones that really matter are like the shadows, which are right here. So if you're someone that has troubles and your system's having troubles, I would check the shadows because shadows make your graphics and CPU work really hard compared to other games and other things. Yeah. Basically just turn these boys all the way up. Texture cache size. So this is an interesting one, okay? Adjust the amount of system memory the game will use for graphic resources. I put this all the way up, okay? So I just leave it at 100 because my cache system has plenty, right? Player crowd quality. This option controls the graphic quality, clarity, and sensitive when a large number of players nearby. Use a lower setting to improve rendering performance in crowded areas. I'm just gonna put it all the way up because my system should be fine. All right, bloom intensity. Control the intensity of the dreamlike glow effect. So if you get hurting eyes from like that glowing effect that you see in the game, you could turn this down or you could turn it up. It's just up to you. I'm gonna just leave it in the center, just whatever they normally do. For that, I leave it on high though. Over bright bloom filter. When enabled, very brightly lit spaces will always bloom over foreground objects. So this is a post-processing effect. It must also be enabled. So those are more intensive system for your CPU to use. I just leave them all on because my CPU, again, most of you are going to be fine with having these on. You could always bring up Task Manager, bring up performances, and see how is your CPU doing, how is your graphic card doing while you're playing the game, right? So you should be completely and totally fine with that, okay? So totally fine with the graphics settings, okay? Those are the graphics settings I use. Now let's talk about UI settings, okay? So UI settings, these are basically the ones that really matter, okay? So there's toolbars and all these things you can do. If you need a video on this, leave a comment with some of this other stuff, but I'm gonna jump straight down into, you got floating text. Floating text is when you say hi and you have this above your head. And see how it's just little floating text there? I can make that bigger if I wanted to. Hello, right? So that's one good UI setting. If you notice, there is a tiny bit of a blur. Like, it's fine when it's at 1 ratio, but it's a little blurred slightly, but really, it's not really a problem. Again, there are mods you guys can get for stuff like this. I don't use any. You don't really need them. This game can run at 2K just fine on a 32-inch curved monitor that's 2K, all right? I can run it just fine, all right? It looks great. You guys can say you always love my visuals of my game. So I really like it. Again, when you do blow things up, if you noticed, it moved stuff around here. So I'm gonna move it back. Again, if you do like a certain way, a certain setup, there is a layout command that I have a video on how to do a certain command to save your UI settings and your layout of your screen, right, of everything. If that's something that you like, check out that video. I have the command in that video. It's a real short 5-minute video. And I have a few little tricks everyone should know with the UI things. So you can go check that out. In fact, I'll link that video in the description for you guys. So then you can say selected name, all these other things, but these are not what matters. We're gonna hop to the bottom, okay? At this thing right here, UI scale. This is the big one. This is the one everyone really, really cares about. This will globally increase or decrease the size of your UI elements, which is everything you see on the screen that's there. If I do this, it all goes away. There are new UI on the screen right now. This is just the game, okay? That is a Control F12, I believe, or F11 for you guys, to remove everything off the screen. But this element will globally increase or decrease the size of the UI elements. So again, I leave it at about 1.3, okay? That's big enough that I can see everything very clearly on my big, huge 2K monitor with 1440p, and at the same time, it doesn't look blurry to me. When I start blowing these up past 1.5, it still looks okay, but if you notice, I'm seeing a blur with my eyes on the screen. With things now, I'm seeing a little bit of a blur effect happening. This is where you could get a mod to adjust these things, but I really don't think you need to unless you really need it for eye. I understand some people need it for eyes versus others. But really, I'm on a 32-inch 2K screen. If you have a smaller screen that you can just bring closer to you, you probably don't need to blow them up past 1.3, like I have, okay here? So again, when I move stuff, it moves stuff on the screen. That's just how it works. That is a thing that I think they should update with the UI. If you blow stuff up, it shouldn't move stuff around on the screen. But again, they're working on that kind of stuff. They're getting there, but it's not a reason to not play the game, you guys, okay? This is, you could set it up one time, couple minutes. If you have a big screen, if you have a 1080 screen, it's all gonna look great and it'll just be fine. 2K, you'll have to adjust things a little bit. Again, you can look at my video on UI and moving stuff around on the screen. That's all pretty easy. But then you can kind of go through here and adjust certain things. I kind of sometimes like my radar or mini map, the top right bubble thing, to be a little bigger. So, you know, you could pop that up to 1.5, right? To have a little bit bigger mini map to see what's going on up there. And then, of course, your quick slots are all these things down here. Your main bar is your I think it's just quest tracker is this thing over here. Sometimes I'll blow that up a little bit so I can see my words just a little bit bigger on the side there. But again, I don't really mind because I can just click the little ring right here, right? It opens up my quest tracker, right? Well, maybe I have to accept that first and then I'll be able to open up my quest tracker. Not sure what's going on there. So anyway, so the quest tracker is really nice, obviously. But let's say you're looking at a quest and you're like, I can't see the quest, right? It's loading something. I closed all my I had all completed quests shown. And when I do that, it freaks out the server because I have like 5,000 quests completed. But so see how big the words are? They're fine. This button right here down the bottom left, these little arrows, so it'll start like this. If you're having trouble reading it and you're like, I really can't read that, darn it. You know, it's so small on my big 2K screen when it's in 2K. Just push this little button. It's the same button when you pick up a quest. You remember how I do that in all my Lotro Tail? And I click the little plus button in the bottom, I hadn't done it yet. And it'll keep it the whole time you're logged in as big, right? So you can read it nice and big. And I have absolutely no problem reading that. I think that's super easy to read. But again, you might need to get a mod if you want to blow it up bigger than that. But I really don't think that's an issue. All right. So anyway, that's a good way to open it and shut it with that. So again, when it comes to the UI scaling, it's up to you what you want to do with all the quest tracker and sizes of things and everything. But I find no really issue with it. There we go. Now, I don't know. I think I had it underneath the map is why I couldn't click it. So it does matter, right, with the control tab thing to move stuff around. Again, I have a whole video on that if you want to know about how to move stuff and things. Just go click on that. It's real short. I'll have it in the link description for you. Anyway, you guys, so those are the settings I use. Now, if you're curious real quick what I use in my recording, so you know that I really am doing this and I'm not cheating you, right? Here you go. I'll show you right now. Or I'm just gonna tell you because it'll be hard. So when I record, I am using 45 kilobytes, 4,500 kilobytes. So that's 45 megabytes a second, or 450 kilobytes a second. I'm using, with my new system, I'm actually using I'm letting my graphics card do all the work on the graphics, and I'm letting my CPU do the encoding. With that, I'm doing it at medium speed, which is the lower the speed, the more your CPU has to work, but the better quality you get. So, which I find is the best for my new system. It looks real good. I could do it lower. My system can do it lower, but then it just doesn't really make any difference in visuals. So why make my CPU work harder? And then I also stream at 4,500 usually for you guys. Sometimes I will record things with my NVIDIA graphics card too. I'll record stuff too sometimes, and I'll still record at 4,500 bits with the encoder at the 0.264 right version. And visuals, my base canvas is 2560 by 1440p. You guys, it's 2K, just like my monitor is 2K, okay? And my output scale from when I record right now for you is also 2560 by 1440p. And yeah, all right, so you know, and I'm doing 60 frames a second, right, for my recording. Again, my visuals on what I'm getting on the actual game are probably a little higher than that. What I see is a little bit better because when I watch the video later, the visuals are like 90% of what I see normally. So I see a little bit clearer, a little bit better visuals than you guys, even in my high definition videos. But realistically, I'm looking at a 32-inch screen. If you guys are watching this on a 15-inch screen or whatever, or a phone, it's gonna look beautiful, right? No matter what, it's gonna look really good. In fact, when I watch these on my 65-inch 4K screen in the living room, when I record them in high definition, the game looks great. I don't see anything except for when it's an older location. Again, this is an older location. That's why these rocks look a little bit, they need to update the textures slightly. But like, if you see my character, it's fine, right? But again, some things that are updated are going to look just fine, right? It's gonna look great. Again, this is the location I'm in right now. I'm gonna hop to the Breeland too real quick. But that is, they're updating stuff slowly depending on the location as well. So anyway, the whole point of this video was to tell you what UI settings I'm using, what graphical settings I'm using, and to maybe help you guys figure it out if you're having troubles not getting the same quality when you play. Because I want you guys to be able to enjoy the game if you're starting it for the first time. So again, you could go through, you can pause when I'm showing you those graphical settings, right? And the different settings. And like, look at the water reflections. I love the water reflections in this game. See the reflection? The house right there, the building. You can move and see the reflections differently. There's the stars and the moon, right? The game looks fantastic, you guys. I love this game. But again, graphical settings, yes, you can play this game at 2K without any mods. It looks fine. If you're having troubles with blur, it could very well be your monitor. It might not be. I'm not trying to attack anyone's monitors, right? But it could very well be your monitor if you're having that trouble. You need to make sure you look at your actual settings in this PC settings, right? And check your monitor resolution, right? Your displays. And then also, it does matter with your graphics card. It absolutely does. Your system will increase the visuals. Even if your computer runs the game at 60 frames at ultra high with every setting on, the game will still look better if you have a better graphics card with the same exact settings on ultra high everything. So I know that's weird, and that's probably something to do with because this game and game engine are from 15 years ago, but the game will look better as you get a better system and a better graphics card. So it absolutely will. Will it be a massive difference? No. It was minor, but I have a pretty good eye, so I can usually tell slight differences of things compared to some other people in my family who I've asked to be comparisons. So I definitely see things that other people haven't seen. Again, I've played this game so much that one little difference where like, oh my gosh, that water has a better reflection than before. I noticed that, right? So I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to that stuff. I really want my system and videos to look really good for you guys. So again, hope that helped you out. It's kind of a long video for this. If you're at the end, you're fantastic. Thank you so much to my wonderful Patreons for your support. I appreciate it a lot. We have a new Patreon. We have a Ironshield Guard now, or we have a Shield Guard. We have 3 Iron Guard. We have 3 Dwarven Rangers and an Axe Guard member. Thank you guys for your support. I appreciate it a lot. You guys all have a wonderful day in Middle Earth. If this helped you out, don't forget to like and subscribe. Subscribe button's gonna be right there. It's free if I earned it. And the next episode for the guys will be up there, and a Lotro tale will be right down there. Go check out my main content. You guys have a wonderful day in Middle Earth. And again, you're welcome to go through and pause that. I will have links and timestamps to other videos of those other things I mentioned, those 2 other videos and stuff. So you guys have a wonderful day in Middle Earth, my friends. And I'll see you in the next episode of Voice of the Ring.